This is Nathaniel Moenda, and according to Football Manager, he has the lowest current ability in the playable English leagues at 17 out of 200. Luckily for Nathaniel, I've just become a football agent, and he is my first client. I'll be advising him on what transfers to take, and to maximise his chances of winning as many trophies and accolades as possible before he retires. But my first job as his agent is to get him to drink this magic potion that has incredibly turned his potential ability from a non-league squad player to an international superstar. Look, Real Madrid will never be interested in signing him unless he has the potential to one day be able to play for them. Nathaniel currently plays for Peterborough Sports in the National League North, and looking at their current squad, sorted by the lowest current ability first, Nathaniel is nowhere near to making it into the matchday squad. So we need to send him out on loan, somewhere local, and somewhere where he should be able to score a few goals. So I am advising that my client moves on loan an hour up the road to Lincoln United, who play in the United Counties Leagues, essentially the 9th division of English football. He's only 16 years old, and it's going to be his first season of senior football, so we're not going to set expectations too high. If he can just get 5 goal contributions across the season, that means we can add 5 attribute points to his profile to improve him as a player. So at the end of the first season, it's kind of what I was expecting to see. He's featured in 21 matches, he only scored twice, but he does have 4 assists, which means he's got 6 goal contributions, and we can give him some magic potion. Lincoln United just missed out on the playoffs as they finished in 7th place, with their striker Jack Butterfield ending up as the league's top scorer. And that suggests to me that Nathaniel wasn't playing up front this season. Most of the time, he's been played out on the right wing instead, and because of that, we've seen an increase in attributes more associated to being with a winger. So dribbling is up from 4 to 6, his pace has gone from 8 to 10, and his balance from 2 to 4. Crucially though, his current ability is up to 30, so I think next season he needs to be playing at a higher level. So with the magic potion, I want to put all 5 attribute points into his pace, I reckon, because it's such an important attribute to have at the lower levels. So that's taken his current ability to, wow, that's a massive increase. Maybe it shows just how important pace is in Football Manager. I also think I have found the perfect team for him to go on loan to. Still close to home, Grantham Town are a level above Lincoln United, and he would come in to be one of the best players in the squad based on current ability. They also play 2 strikers, so he should get a lot of game time. I'm going to challenge him to score 10 goals this season for some more magic potion. Grantham Town have finished 2nd in the league, just missing out on the title, but they are in the playoffs. Moenda has scored 16 goals this season and is the league's top scorer, so he's beaten his target and is getting some magic potion. We've seen him increase his finishing and composure, which is great. That's the kind of development that we need to see. He did score in the playoffs, but he wasn't trusted with a penalty, which means Grantham went out on penalty shootouts and they don't get promoted. Yeah, his penalty taking of 1 isn't ideal. Maybe we need to think about using some magic potion there. Now his contract at Peterborough Sports is coming to an end and he's not going to sign a new one because there's interest from Fulham, Leeds and Ipswich Town. As his agent, I think I'd say to him go to Fulham because they have the best training facilities and they can probably pay him the most. But realistically, he'll just be going out on loan for the next probably 5 seasons or so to improve. So I don't actually mind where he goes. I'm going to let him make his own mind up this summer. And Nathaniel chose Nottingham Forest, signing a 3-year deal with a club option to extend it by a season. He's in the under-21s right now, and based on current ability, his 53 out of 200 makes him the worst player in the squad. Obviously that means he won't get any game time in the under-21s, so we need to send him out on loan. We do have 5 attribute points to use, so I'm going to up his acceleration by 4 and pace by 1. So they're both 16 out of 20. And this crucially now means his current ability is 65. That's good enough for him to be playing at the National League North and South, which is handy because I've picked out a perfect team for him there. Alfreton Town is a stone's throw away from Nottingham, and they're in the National League North, and their train facilities are some of the best at this level. So this is where we are sending Nathaniel this season, and hopefully he's going to thrive. I'm going to set him a target of scoring 20 goals, and if he can do that, we'll give him some more magic potion. Moenda was on fire this season. He has absolutely bossed the National League North and even showed a glimpse of what he could do in the future when he scored past Wigan in a 2-1 win in the FA Cup first round. Alfreton finished third in the league and are headed to the playoffs, where Moenda has scored 24 times. Incredibly, that's only good enough to be the league's 6th top scorer. I don't think his finishing has improved, but I think his dribbling, composure and technique have all gone up, as well as his acceleration to 17. And he's had a huge increase to 84 in his current ability, so that might be good enough to be a backup option for a League 2 side next season. Despite all of those improvements though, he couldn't score in Alfreton's 2-1 win in the playoff semi-final, but he did score in the playoff final itself. It's just a shame Buxton scored 4 goals to win the game instead. So back at Forest after the loan spell, where he is now valued between 15 and 46 million pounds. So we won't be seeing a permanent transfer anytime soon. He is loan listed though, so I will find him one. But first we need to give him his magic potion. I'm going to increase his finishing by 3 and heading by 2, because we need to make better use of his 18 jumping reach. Weirdly, that doesn't seem to affect his current ability at all. It's still at 84. So we could send him to a lower level League 2 club, where he'd maybe be a rotational option. I think game time is king, so we have to be sending him to the National League instead. Barnet have a mid-table prediction, but they have really good training facilities to help Nathaniel improve. And they also play a 2-striker system with just 3 strikers in the squad, so he should get plenty of game time. It's ambitious, but I'm going to set a target of 20 goals this season. If he can do that, he can have some more magic potion. It might have been a bad move though, because Barnet end up this season just avoiding relegation in 19th. Moenda was the top scorer, but he only got 16 goals in all competitions, so no magic potion this time around. He might not need it though, because the key attributes of dribbling, finishing and first touch have all improved by 1. So his current ability has increased to 94, but that's the smallest increase we've seen so far across a season. I mean, it is still an incredible season for him to have. It just doesn't feel the same as it did last season because he got so many goals last season. Nathaniel signed a new contract at Forest early into the previous season, so he's now at the club for an extra year, and they've doubled his salary. So they do believe in him. Not enough to have him in the first team squad though yet, as he is still listed for loan. So we're going to find him one. I've been browsing League 2 clubs, and York City, who are predicted to finish in 3rd place, have caught my eye. Based on current ability, he wouldn't be one of the best players at the club, but he would be the 2nd best striker. And York play with 2 strikers, so he should get lots of games in a winning team. So I'm going to set him a target of 20 goals in all competitions, and if he can do that, he gets Magic Potion. And he works hard for his Magic Potion this season, scoring some banging goals on the way. And I mean lots of goals. Because York City have won the League 2 title ahead of Crewe and have the league's top 2 goal scorers. But it's only 18 in the league for Nathaniel, so he needs 2 more in the cups for his Magic Potion, which he just manages to get. 1 goal in the FA Cup and EFL Trophy for 20 total. Looks like he's had a good increase in his attributes and a slight increase in his physicals, finishing and composure. So we're back at Forest, and his current ability is up to 105, so he's on the cusp of being a good League 1 player. So with the 5 attributes that we can give him, I'm going to put 4 into composure and 1 into his finishing to make him, hopefully, more lethal up front. And that moves his current ability up to 109. I'm looking in League 1 at clubs, and it's Stockport County in 11th place who have caught my eye this season. He'd be one of their best players based on current ability, and they play with 2 strikers like York, so he's used to the system and should get lots of game time. Last season, he just got 20 goals. I don't think he's going to do that again, but I think 15 goals is still a pretty ambitious target to set for him. Moenda did score goals, but perhaps not as many as we'd have liked. Stockport finished 9th in the table, which is respectable, but it does suggest they didn't score enough. And sure enough, Moenda only managed 13 in all competitions, so no Magic Potion. Worryingly, he did underperform his XG by 5 goals, so he's missing a lot of good chances. Which is weird because his composure and pace have increased by 1 each, so I think he's lacking a little bit of technique, but of course there's no Magic Potion to improve him this season. Midway through the previous season, Nathaniel signed a new contract at Forest on 10 grand a week, so I am enjoying the commission on that. But Forest got relegated from the Premier League last time out, and so based on current ability, which is now 126, it's putting Nathaniel on the edge of the first team. So this season, he's going to stay put. I think he might have some good game time, because there's not a huge difference between him and Lucas and Micha, but Stephen Holmes is younger and better in some areas, so I just hope Mwenda's pace carries him through. If he can get 10 goals in the Championship in a team that he might not be starting in, that is worthy of some magic potion. It turns out though, he could do a lot more than 10 goals, because he ended up carrying Forest this season. He didn't actually start the season, but he got a run of games in October and scored a brace in both of his first 2 games, and because of that, kept his spot for the rest of the season. He ended up with 19 Championship goals, far exceeding any of our expectations, and signed a new £25,000 per week contract mid-season. His goals helped Forest to 6th in the table and get a playoff spot, to fight for a place in the Premier League. But a 6-4 loss to Stoke on aggregate ends the dream of going back to the top flight in the semi-finals. He hasn't actually massively improved. Dribbling, finishing and technique are all up by 1, and so is his stamina, balance and anticipation, but that's about it really. It means his current ability has risen by 8 to 134, so based on that number, probably not Premier League quality yet. But we have 5 attribute points to give him, and I think I'm going to increase his technique by 3 and off the ball by 2. I think they're really important to have for a player the higher the level you go. It raises his current ability by 2 to 136. So now we have a real dilemma. He's not good enough to be starting in the Premier League, but he might be good enough to be starting in a mid-table team in Italy or Spain, which is why Getafe are currently interested in signing him. I also think he's too good for the Championship now, so we've got some homework to do this summer to find him an ideal move. So my first thought was Real Betis. They've just finished 6th in La Liga and have Europa League football, and he'd slot in as one of the best players in the team who also pay high wages. But they only have 4 million to spend on transfers this summer, and that's not enough. My next thought was Frankfurt, who underperformed by finishing 9th in the Bundesliga. They also have the budget with 35 million to spend and loads spare in wages, but their player's current ability is way higher, and I doubt he'd get any game time there. So I was about to give up, but then I found the perfect move for him. This is Enzo Stenal, and he's just signed for West Ham for £65 million from Marseille, which means they have a lot of money to spend. Nathaniel would come in to be a top 5 player in their squad and their best striker. But if he wasn't the best striker, it wouldn't matter, because they play with 2 strikers anyway. And as part of our long-term aim with Nathaniel, we want to try and win as many trophies as possible. Obviously, so far in his career, he's not had the chance to do that because he's been slowly improving as a youngster. But Marseille are a team in France who are capable of winning trophies there. So I am advising my client to move to Marseille for £25.5 million. Let me explain to you how I got to that figure as well. If you have the in-game editor enabled like I do, you can find the secret asking price a club will accept for every player in the game, and Forest had that price at £25.5 million for Mwenda. So now he's on a 5-year deal worth £82,000 a week, and I think I've done a good job with my commission. He's actually so happy with the money that he's now earning at Marseille, he's doing me a favour, and he's asked me to ask you to all subscribe to the channel. 20 goals in all competitions, and I'll give Mwenda some magic potion for next season. Nathaniel has had a top season at Marseille, scoring domestically and in Europe. He got a goal against Betis, who are one of our options, and he scored twice past Brighton in the Europa League quarter-finals, which they unfortunately went on to lose 6-2 on aggregate. So whilst Mwenda has had a good season, Marseille in general haven't. 11th place is Marseille's worst league finish since they came 15th in 2001. So have we made a mistake here? I'd say Mwenda just hasn't played enough football. 9 Ligue 1 goals in 22 starts is a decent return, but he hasn't hit the 20 goals in all competitions, so we can't give him any magic potion. His current ability has increased to 142, which is good. He's for sure a decent top division player now. I'm just going to assume that the team in general underperformed this season, so there's no reason to panic. Let's just keep him at Marseille and hope for the best. But I am going to set a more conservative target of just 10 Ligue 1 goals next season for us to upgrade him with some magic potion. Luckily, Mwenda has just managed to reach that target. He scored 11 goals in League 1 this season, 2 more than last time out. Although those 11 goals came in just 8 matches, so he's clearly not consistent enough just yet. As a result, Marseille miss out on European football again in 8th place. So are we wasting our time staying at Marseille? Because Mwenda is good enough to play in Europe. Now he's 25 years old, it's unlikely his physicals and technicals will improve much. So it's only the mentals that we're going to see a difference in, and his vision, concentration and anticipation have all improved this season. So he's now at 148 current ability, and there are 3 clubs interested in him. Chelsea have a cracking squad, but I think he'd only end up as backup to Victor Boniface and not get enough game time. And at Inter Milan, he'd be the 3rd choice striker behind Daramy and Gyökeres. So I don't think that's a sensible move either, and I won't be entertaining a move to Saudi Arabia. The guy's not even in his prime yet, so let's not waste him. So we're going to stay put for next season, but in terms of our magic potion, I'm going to increase his finishing by 5 to get it up to 19 to make him an elite finisher. That actually moves his current ability up to 154, so maybe a move to Chelsea or Inter could work, but I want to see if he can now carry Marseille to a trophy this season. I want to see 30 goals in all competitions for some magic potion. Upgrading Mwenda's finishing worked. He ended the season as Ligue 1's top scorer with 24 goals in the division, an incredibly productive season. The issue is, they lost in the cup in the first round that they feature in. So Mwenda hasn't hit the 30 goal target that we set for him, and there's going to be no upgrades. Despite all of his goals, Marseille only finished 8th in the table, so we have to move Mwenda on now because he's not got any European football for a 2nd season in a row. His composure has increased to 18, but that might be the only attribute that has increased, so his current ability is still just 154. Marseille are willing to sell Mwenda for 73 million, and that really limits us. A Premier League move just isn't really viable. Of the clubs that could afford him, he just wouldn't be the best striker out of the team and won't play matches. Looking at Inter Milan this season, I think he would replace Daramy as the number 1 striker, but they only have 69 million to spend, so they can't afford him. He'd also fit really nicely at other Italian clubs, but all of them just don't have the budget to be able to pay £73 million. Barca and Real are the only real options in Spain to win trophies, but he'd struggle to make their bench, so he's not going to go there. Which leaves me with the team that I've chosen instead. RB Leipzig have finished in the top 4 in Germany for 15 seasons in a row, and they have just enough to afford him with 75 million to spend, and he'd also be the best striker at the club. They also pay a bag. He's been given a contract of £250,000 a week. So I feel like I've made a very good choice for his bank account moving him to RB Leipzig. I want to see 30 goals this season for some magic potion. Nathaniel hit the ground running and tore up the Bundesliga this season. At times he was totally unplayable, as he ended up with 21 Bundesliga goals to finish 3rd in the Golden Boot. And those goals have helped RB Leipzig end Bayern Munich's 10-season winning run and earn Leipzig their first ever Bundesliga title. So this has been a perfectly successful move. He also scored 6 goals in the Champions League as RB Leipzig lost 6-3 on aggregate in the quarters to PSG. But with no goals in the cup, it means we're just under the 30 goal target he needed for some magic potion. Although he has improved his finishing to 20 out of 20, which is great. And we've seen a few slight rises in his mentals, bringing his current ability up to 156. So obviously we are going to keep him at RB Leipzig, and next season I want to see 30 goals and at least the Champions League semi-finals for some magic potion. Season 12 didn't pan out exactly as we wanted. Mwenda only scored 17 goals in all competitions after playing 44 games, a way worse return than last season. And despite scoring in the match, they also got knocked out in the Champions League playoff round by RZ, failing both of our targets. So, what happened? This bloke, who was playing on the right wing last season, is now for some reason playing up front. Don't get me wrong, he's a great striker and he ended up as the league's top scorer this season. But that wasn't enough to secure back-to-back titles for Leipzig, as they dropped 4 points behind Dortmund. It means Mwenda only scored 1 goal every 3 games from the right wing, rather than almost a goal a game when he started up front. So genuinely, I think the manager is to blame. If he played Mwenda up front, they would have won the title and got further in Europe. We've also seen no real change to his attributes, so he's still 156 current ability heading into the next season. He didn't get 30 goals, but he did get 30 goal contributions. So next season the target is 30 goal contributions again, and at least the Champions League semi-finals for some magic potion. That might also help with his England career, as he's now collected 4 caps, which is great. So congratulations to Nathaniel for being an international and winning some silverware. He didn't play in the final, but he was part of the England squad that won the 2034 World Cup in Japan, so that's another trophy to add to his list. Mwenda did get to play up front more this season, which is great for us, but he did still play around 30% of his matches on the right wing, which is starting to make you think, do we need to move him on? His goal contributions did contribute to a really solid season for RB Leipzig though. It's not quite enough to get back on top as they're 5 points behind Bayern, but they do have a chance of some silverware, because RB Leipzig have made it past Lille, Newcastle and Spurs to reach the Champions League final, which ticks off one half of Mwenda's target for the season. However, he needs 3 more goal contributions in the final to hit the other half of his target of 30 goal contributions. Now Leipzig scored first in the final, just 7 minutes into the match, but 2 minutes later, Manchester United equalised. However, in the 87th minute, Mwenda got on the ball out wide and put a perfect cross onto the head of Michael Olise to win Leipzig the Champions League, another trophy for Nathaniel. But of course, that's not enough goal contributions to reach the magic number of 30, so no magic potion. He's still sitting at 156 current ability, and at 29, it won't be long before that starts to go down, so we need to get some magic potion into him ASAP. So I am going to be kind, next season I only want to see 20 goal contributions. For season 14, I left Nathaniel at RB Leipzig. Although I do have concerns about his position, they just won the Champions League, so they're obviously a team that can still win trophies, just not this season. They crashed out of the Champions League in the playoff knockout round to AC Milan and dropped to 6th in the Bundesliga, which is a terrible season for them. To make matters worse, Nathaniel only got 18 goal contributions, so there's no magic potion. He has seen a few of his mentals increase, but it doesn't make a change to his current ability, which is still 156. So I think I now want him to move away from Leipzig. The issue is the price tag. They won't listen to anything under 156 million, and no one has that kind of spare cash lying around, especially for a 30-year-old. So he's going to stick at Leipzig next season. I'm being really kind. I just want to see 15 goal contributions. However, season 15 was even worse for Leipzig. Mwenda was genuinely a bright spark in a side that lost in the Europa League round of 16 to Aberdeen and had its worst Bundesliga finish ever, which is actually quite impressive that 8th is their rock bottom. Luckily for us, Mwenda has 17 goal contributions to his name, so we can finally give him some more magic potion as he enters the last year of his contract at Leipzig. So I think I'm going to increase his dribbling by 3, and concentration by 2, and that should benefit his game. But it only keeps him at 156 current ability, annoyingly. We just can't seem to go above that. Even more annoyingly, Leipzig are refusing to sell him. They won't accept anything less than 300 million, and I reckon that means they're going to exercise the optional 1-year extension in his contract, so we just can't move him on yet. But if that's the case, then surely they have to play him a little bit more next season. So I'm going to set the target at 15 goal contributions again. Despite only having to focus on the Bundesliga, Leipzig did not improve this time around, and Mwenda frustratingly only got 14 goal contributions in all competitions. We need to get this man out of his club. 1 season without European football is fine, but 2 is bad, as they finish in 8th place again. Leipzig did exercise their option on him, so he's got 1 more year left on his contract now, but at 32 years old, the physicals are starting to decline. Acceleration is down to 15, jumping reach to 17, although his composure has improved to 20, but his current ability does drop to 152, so the decline has started. This time, Leipzig are willing to let Mwenda go for 37 million. Napoli were my first choice. They're always top 5 in Italy, and he'd be the best striker of the team. The issue is, they just don't have any transfer budget. Fulham do have enough transfer budget. They're now a top 7 Premier League side, but they have 2 strikers better than him, and he's not going to start. Instead, I'm going back to an old flame. We flirted with Real Betis before ultimately choosing Marseille a few seasons ago, but now they're best of the rest in Spain. Nathaniel would arrive as one of their best players, and most importantly, they can afford him. So it is settled. Nathaniel is moving to Spain, and I want him to score 15 goals this season. This might not have been the best move for him though. Mwenda is the best player on the team, and he played really well, scoring 17 goals. But if a 33-year-old is your best player, there might be some issues. Because Betis have dropped down to 15th in the table, which is their worst season in 21 years. Although they did just reach the Champions League semi-finals, so maybe the league was just a fluke. Luckily, with the 17 goals that Nathaniel scored, we can give him some magic potion. His physicals are really starting to dip now, so I think what we need to do is put 2 points into his pace, but as he is slowing down, I think we should also start to improve his heading a bit more, so he's got more of a set-piece threat, and hopefully can score goals from corners. His current ability had dropped to 146, but this improvement moves him back up to 150. So I'm going to set the target again at 15 goals. The increased pace and heading had a big impact on Mwenda's scoring ability. He didn't just score 15, he got 20 goals across the season, smashing his target. Those goals also helped Real Betis to some silverware. Nathaniel scored the 3rd goal in a 3-0 win over Atletico Madrid in the Copa del Rey final, winning Mwenda his 4th trophy. This gives them a spot in next season's Europa League, as Betis finished 9th in La Liga. With 20 goals scored, it means we can give him some magic potion. At this point, putting them into physicals is a waste, given how much they're just going to drop across the season. So I'm going to put all 5 into his heading, so he can be a near post corner merchant. His current ability had dropped to 142, but now it's back up to 147. And I'm going to set a target of 20 goals for him next season. His physical decline is now rapid, and by the end of the season, he wasn't even in the first team anymore, scoring just 10 goals across the season. I think Betis have suffered because of it as well, because they've dropped down to 12th in the table. But I can see why. His pace is all the way down at 12 now, and with just 11 acceleration, his biggest advantage on the pitch is gone. So with his current ability down to 132, I reckon this is pretty much the end. Or maybe he's got some second wind, because he started all 29 games for Real Betis at 36 years old, but that does suggest overall, this Betis side aren't very good anymore. Or at least as good as they were. 7th place is a heck of an achievement with a 36-year-old Mwenda starting. That's more because his current ability is down to 122, which is a pretty bang average championship level player. His physicals though are completely gone now, and after this season, he ended up retiring. In all competitions, he featured in 816 matches, scoring 334 goals, or 1 goal every 2.5 games, which is actually an unreal goal scoring record. And we can't forget the 4 trophies that he ended up winning: the Bundesliga, the World Cup, the Champions League, and the Copa del Rey. So if you enjoyed this video, I think you're going to enjoy this one that's a little closer to home. I made my friend in Football Manager, and I used a random number generator to decide his attributes. Then I simulated his career to find out how good he would be. So click the thumbnail on screen to find out if he's the next Lionel Messi, or if he ends up more as the next Freddie Adu and never quite making it.